It's market day and I'm going to do my best to share my day with you. So the car starts packed up with stuff, got tables in the trunk. Let's see what happens today. So this event is indoors at Lincoln Square. So I'm here pretty early. I'm not set up yet. There's a whole lot of people here already, or set up last night. So I'm waiting for the administrator to tell me where to set up. I grew up in this mall. My dad's law office was in the basement. My first job was actually in the food court over here. I was a spaghetti shop. There it is, all set up. Got over here my books, cards, book-related stuff, bookmarks, book sleeves. This is my chaos table, a little bit of everything. And then my checkout area, and then my handmade like pouches, so journal pouches. Zipper pouches. So that's nice. Covering the shift I missed. I am also missing a shift today, so hopefully we see it again. All right, I did not do such a great job of recording during the actual event, but let's talk a little bit about how everything went. It was 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. I set up, I worked the night before, I'm a waitress, and so I couldn't do the setup on Friday night, which was allowed. Instead, I showed up early on Saturday, but thankfully this is not too very early, right? It's not a 7 in the morning early, or starts at 7, so you have to be there at 5:30 or 6. This was a starts at 9, so I showed up around 7:30. I left the house around 7:15, so I got there more like 7:45. But anyway, setup was pretty easy. I've been doing it over and over again outside, so this was a nice little turn, easier event. Setting up indoors, I didn't have to do the tent. The tent is really easy. I have a really great tent, which I'm happy to answer questions about, but instead I have this like, well, you saw it in the video. It's just like a stand, and that holds my sign. Honestly, that's harder to set up than the tent is. And in some ways, I kind of wish I had the tent because the sun kept going over and it was very hot on Saturday. But setup, yeah, it's not very interesting. Let's talk about sales. I am an author and handmade artist, so I sew and then make random stuff, and I wrote my books, water weaver. So I have kind of a theme at this point in my booth where it's author stuff and artist stuff. And then the artist stuff, I'm trying really hard to streamline. I'm bad at it because I have ADHD, but I'm undiagnosed, but whatever. I've decided I'm claiming it. The artist stuff, I'm kind of focusing on zipper pouches and like journal pouches that hold pens and pencils on your journal with elastic, and I really love those. I love to make them. It's fun. I get to use all my different patterns of fabric. It's not like with a quilt you have to have a whole lot of fabric and you work on it a really long time. These you work on, not, it's not like a 10-minute whip out things, but it has an end, and I feel that adrenaline rush or dopamine hit that is so good for my little brain. And then I have on the author side handmade stuff that's book related, right? So I have my Kindle sleeves, my book sleeves, and bookmarks, and then the books. And what I have decided is I have a third table that's I'm calling it my chaos table. It's where all the stuff that doesn't fit into other things can live. Like if I decide, I use these at home, but if I decide to make some and sell some, this would go on the chaos table. Excuse me. My paper cranes, chaos table. My resin necklaces I made, chaos table. So whatever random can live there. The amigurumis live there. And I'm going to focus on trying to keep in stock the other things, and that's the more clean and branded, like I'm making actual signage and just that's where I'm focused on showing up a little more professionally, but the honest part is that I have to have the chaos table too. Sales wise, I made pretty evenly split between my books and all of the handmade stuff, which is kind of a magic, what's it called? Number when you put the math together. Oh my gosh, welcome to menopause. Or maybe not, because I think I've always been like this. My kids can tell us that. When you have the recipe, we'll go with recipe, that's not formula. The magic formula for me is having my handmade stuff, because that sometimes brings people to the books, and having my books because that sometimes brings people to the handmade. And somebody who likes handmade may not like my book, and somebody who likes my book may not want something handmade, but I don't think that's true. I think my target reader likes both, but between the two, it makes this really nice balance of something interesting for almost anybody who comes by. And it was shown to me in full, wonderful detail, because a young woman came and bought a Kindle reader because she has a Kindle at home and she wants something to protect it in her bag. And so she picked one of my handmade Kindle sleeves. And as she was leaving, I said, if you have KU, my books are in KU, you should, check them. She's like, oh yeah, I'll check them out. That was Saturday. Sunday, she came back and she told me, I started your book last night. So like, that's my little chaos garden working, thriving, doing what it's supposed to do. So for the real like problem in my life, the real like hurdle is all of the, I am making money from the creative business, but to do the money part of the creative business right now, the markets, I have to give up my serving shifts, which is money. So like, that's my wage. So it's like this balance, right? And I think all of us who have creative businesses have this kind of, where's that lever? Where is that difference? Like, where I can't do, can I do both? How do I do both? What do I do to give up one to get the other? And I tried doing a market on a weekday that was not in the way of work, but the reality is people don't shop on a Tuesday evening. People shop on the weekend most often. So these bigger markets are the focus. I think I need to step back. I'm very, very good at like, let's reevaluate. Let's look at what's working and what's not. And what is working is the slow build. I need to remember that, focus on that, keep improving, and trust it. And I think if I can do my handmade stuff year round, building up the inventory, then showing up at the holidays, because the holidays is really, I sell stuff that's gift stuff. Obviously the book is year round, but the book is a gift stuff too. So my handmade pouches and my other handmade stuff, if I show up at holidays, that's makes it maybe more worth giving up the serving shift to do that. And then of course there's the whole online thing. Like I would love to figure that out. Like my website exists, I have the stuff on the website, my social media exists, I'm out there. Like if I can figure out how to get the people who find me to purchase online, then suddenly I can start actually looking at stepping back from serving some, which would be really wonderful because my feet hurt sometimes, but no rush. And then the other thing is, even if I just keep doing what I'm doing, then by the time I retire, which is, 10, 15 years from now, if I'm lucky, then I can do this then, and it'll be all set up and ready to go. So those are the kind of thoughts processes of that. I'm gonna keep improving my signage. I'm gonna focus on holiday markets, and I'm gonna keep trying to connect with all of these amazing women that I find, and other people who are interested in writing and handmade stuff, but mainly these older women who are Gen X, people like me, kind of figuring out what am I doing next. So that's my market recap. This is very chatty. Thanks for being along. Feel free to follow me. I'm going to try and share more and more of what I'm up to. And I think for the next market I do, which I don't have, I'm not signed up for one right now, but I actually think I'll take notes because I have so many amazing stories that I could share. So many that really, it fills me up these things, even though it's exhausting too. So it's like this weird, like, fills me up, but I also just want to come home and sit under a blanket and watch TV for a few days, which I did. I watched Ride or Die, which we can talk about another time.